Welcome back once again to You Should Get a License, the podcast edition. This is Rod Powell, and today having a conversation with a gentleman I'm really excited about because, you know, he's someone who I actually got to see come into this business and really ascend, not directly working together, but was able to kind of watch from afar on the other side of the country even, and to watch him, you know, start his career, rise up into not just a powerful sales professional, but into a powerful sales leader as well, and continue to grow and blossom, you know, as a business person, as a man. He's a family man, and someone I have just much respect for. You know, we worked together in the same organization at one point, and I think we've even grown closer since we haven't been working in the same organization. And I'm excited to have him on. We've had to reschedule this conversation several times because he's so busy, always has something going on. All the way from the Bay, Mr. Eric Robinson. Eric, how you doing, bro?
Thanks. Oh man, I'm doing well. Thanks for that amazing intro. You know, I'm honored to be here. I know that you've been doing a lot of big things with this forum. You should get a license, man. I've seen it go from, you know, I think I was like one of your first 10 followers or something. and man, this thing's blossoming. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And sorry for the lengthy time in scheduling.
No, it's all good, man. When you make things happen, you know, sometimes you gotta, you know, stick, move, shake, shift, and I certainly understand it. But you're here now, you know, so we're here now and ready to talk. Yep. And you know, before we get started, you know, this platform is really designed to, you know, give folks information about this business, because it's not something that's talked about very openly. It's a very powerful industry, you know, as you and I know and have learned over the years. But for most people, they don't think about a career in insurance. You know, they may think about something that's, you know, exciting or flashy, or what they see on social media as, you know, quick and get rich. And this is certainly not a get rich quick, but it certainly is a get rich business. And we certainly, you know, missed the boat on that. And that's for everybody. But like we've discussed before, a lot of times, you know, our folks that look like us, don't even have an idea of what can be accomplished, you know, working in this business. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing some time. I'm excited to get into the conversation. The way I like to start off, because we are educating, we are informing, we are inspiring on this industry. There's many segments, many schools. What segment of the business do you specialize in? What area of insurance do you focus on? Let's start there.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So the biggest focus that I have in right now is life insurance, mortgage protection, but what more commonly would be voluntary benefits, things that aren't included in like your employer plan, things like that, things that you don't necessarily have to have, or there's no tax penalty if you don't have it, like your major medical insurance, things like that. So, you know, life insurance specifically, supplemental health insurance, disability income insurance, things that essentially pay you or your loved one directly to compensate that loss or recompense a loss. So those are the areas that I focus in on, and wouldn't have it any other way. I love that industry. Absolutely. Serving middle income America, you know, it's almost a forgotten class nowadays.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you. And because certainly the economic infrastructure continues to shift, you know, as we move on in time. But you mentioned a couple topics I really want to expound on, because I know that, you know, folks who listen may not have heard these terms before. Supplemental health. Let's talk about that one first. Like, what is supplemental health? Because you mentioned the doctor bills and those kind of things. Health insurance. What is that? We know life insurance. What's supplemental health insurance?
That's a great question, man. So supplemental health It's almost like the elephant in the room in some cases, but you know, you have your major medical, which is designed for your doctor bills, your hospital bills, your pharmacy, those things. The things that aren't covered by those things like you know, your mortgage payment if you're sick and you can't, you know, go to work. Things like the out-of-pocket costs or out-of-pocket expenses that come along with your major medical bill. You know, there's
Like
a lot of different,
and
deductibles, co-payments, benefit limitations. You know, there's a number of different things that we don't naturally think about if, God forbid, we were to get very, very sick, something like cancer, heart attack, stroke, you know, even as bad as diabetic amputation or go into a coma, something like that, something that's very critical. You know, typically people, you know, automatically hear that and they're like, oh, a long-term care policy, or is that my disability, or isn't that covered by my major medical? And oftentimes, you know, the general population is not aware of the fact that there's policies designed to pay directly to you for going through those things, going to the hospital and being admitted and having to stay there for a while, you know, being diagnosed with cancer and then going through the treatment, or having a heart attack or stroke or heart surgery and then going through that treatment and the hospital stays along with that. Yes, a portion of that major medical is going to be taken care of, that doctor bill is going to be taken care of, the hospital bill, you know, your pharmacy and medications will have a discount, things like that, depending on your major medical plan. But again, those out-of-pocket expenses, the co-payment, the, you know, deductible, you know, any benefit limitation that you may have that you may max out and then it's an out-of-pocket cost. Those supplemental health policies help pay those bills, help you maintain your standard of living, help make sure that you're not, you know, taking out a second on the home, or, you know, selling that fun joyride car that you bought or your hobby or something like that, so that you can, you know, make sure that the bills are taken care of. And oftentimes these bills actually, you know, come with a return of premium feature in many of the cases. So, you know, you can get money back if you don't go through cancer, heart attack, stroke, things like that. So a little bit about that market, but it's a market that I fell in love with just because I lost my mom when I was about 3 years old, and she, you know, had lymphoma. I'm sure her having a policy, it would have definitely changed some things for her in those circumstances. But you know, at the end of the day, I could be an advocate for those type of policies now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So essentially, what we're talking about is, we know health insurance is going to cover a certain amount, but for the things that the health insurance doesn't cover, your supplemental health can kick in and give you some money so you can take care of those things as well. Okay, very important. Absolutely, man, and condolences on your mother as well, and dealing with that. I would think that, you know, having that experience that is so close to home, you know, really kind of fuels, you know, your passion for the business, you know, and helps you really see it from a different kind of perspective than someone who would simply just made a decision to sell those policies.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, there's definitely a level of passion when I'm either in a home or in a work site or even on a Zoom call. No matter who I'm talking to or who I'm dealing with, I'm always, you know, we use insurance to cover the potential loss, right? That's the intentional design of insurance. And so in the society today, in my opinion, things move so fast that we don't oftentimes sit back and take a look at the fact that, oh man, you know, I just bought this beautiful home and it's worth, you know, $450,000 or $600,000. And, oh, you know, I do have that car payment, and, you know, I do like to get a new car on average. And there's going to, you know, there's about $30,000, you know, I usually, you know, have on my car payment or whatever it may be. And, you know, those are all expenses that someone's got to take care of, or, you know, things that need to be taken care of. Even if you're still alive, you know, you're going on disability, you fall off a ladder or something like that. These are all different things that need to be maintained. And oftentimes we're so caught up in the day-to-day bill that we forget about what if, and until what if happens. So, you know, I'm very, very passionate about that just because I've seen what happens, especially, you know, we talk about our community, but, you know, I see it all the time. When I was a kid, you know, something bad happens. And now, you know, back then when I was a kid, it was a car wash and candy and candy sales, you know, maybe a lemonade stand if you had some really good lemonade. But, you know, nowadays it's GoFundMe's, right? Let everybody know on Facebook. That's something that I believe that nobody wants their family to have to go through. But it requires an education, a certain level of passionate individuals that actually care about, explaining things and getting out into the community and informing people properly versus just trying to make a buck.
That's right. That's right. I mean, especially in the last, in the last year and a half, we've seen that no one is untouchable,
Right.
And it would behoove, all of us to make sure that we're prepared,
right,
for the unexpected should it occur. Hopefully it doesn't to anybody who's listening. But no, very, very important stuff, man. I'm glad that you're sharing, the information in this way, because even if someone, we're talking about it from a standpoint of, looking at insurance as a career, but even someone's looking at it as a career or wants to get a little bit more additional insight, they also need to understand that it's important to be protected and to be covered as well, because
right.
It's one thing to show your Apple Watch or your new J's, are you on your vacation on the gram? But, once again, if something happens, you want to make sure that the things that actually matter are taken care of as well for both yourself and your family. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. I want to kind of go back about, I want to, start the journey into your career in the business. But I want to go back, far, and I really want to go kind of back into your childhood. So, getting into this business is always, it's kind of like a lucky chance, for most of us to even find out that it exists.
Yeah.
Take me back, 9-year-old Eric Robinson.
9 years old, man.
9 years old. What was your dream? What was your dream growing up? What'd you want to do?
Oh man, I don't think I was thinking that far, but I remember that, right around 10 or 10, 11, just after that, right around the same age. This idea I wanted to be and this is crazy, a reconstructive plastic surgeon, right? I know it's very, very detailed and very a reconstructive plastic surgeon. And, that was really, really what I wanted to do. But the other side of it was I wanted to, be an athlete. And, there was that tug and that pull. And I realized, well, I'm not as good in the study realm. I didn't like to just sit there and study and pass tests. I could pass them and things like that. I was good at academia, BC student, decent student, not a straight A student or anything like that. But just it wasn't necessarily, school wasn't my calling. I'll just say that. Yeah. But being an athlete was, and then soon I realized that maybe I'm not as athletic as everybody else. And so then, then I was like, man, let me try and, be a rapper. I like that one. And that was a fun journey. And somehow from there, I think we all know that things change and life changes and things go on and on, but I luckily found myself in a position where I met some people in the insurance industry. There's probably like 10 years I just skipped in there.
Right. Absolutely. Look, I want to go back to the sports a little bit, man. So you were not just any old athlete, though. I mean, you really had some success. Like it was a volleyball.
Yeah, men's volleyball.
Yeah. So how'd you get it? Okay, growing up, California is where you're from.
Yeah, California. Yeah.
What part of California?
I grew up in SoCal. Grew up in a little town called Pasadena, just out of east side of LA County. Okay. And then right around middle school, high school, my parents moved to the town next door, which is Arcadia, where I got to experience a little bit more of an affluent life, or at least I got to see kids that had an affluent life, where, the kids' parking lot you know, 90% of the cars were nicer than the teachers. So once I got to experience that, you know, my dad had, you know, put me in volleyball. My sisters were good at volleyball. You know, I played football, I played basketball, but honestly, I found a lot of joy in just being able to jump real high and hit that ball as hard as I could, and I was pretty good at it. You know, did get a couple medals in Junior Olympics, gold, silver, and had a great team, man. My dad made a lot of sacrifices driving me from, you know, LA County, you know, the northern part of LA County down to Orange County or even further, Long Beach, or even, you know, West LA, where Manhattan Beach, things like that, beach areas where, you know, the best volleyball some in the world still is played. And he did a lot of sacrificing to make sure I was a part of, you know, the top club, and, you know, really got a lot of exposure, things like that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, man. Hey, you know, it's not until we get older, you know, that we really realize, you know, some of the sacrifices that, you know, our parents and our family, you know, really make for us, because we start to make it, or when we really have children of our own, because then we start to make similar, you know, adjustments in our lifestyles, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
You know, so that's awesome, man. I know that it's those times probably stick with you now, you know, thinking back on those moments. Do you feel like, you know, your time, you know, as an athlete, I mean, junior Olympian, you say it like it's nothing. I mean, that's a big deal, you know, it's a big accomplishment. Do you feel like that influenced you from not even just insurance, but the ability to, you know, want to go into business, or even be in sales, or deal with people? If so, in what way? How do you think, you know, playing that sport really influenced, you know, how your mindset moved as you continue to grow?
You know, volleyball is a very intricate sport at high levels, and communication is key. So I can't say that I knew that I wanted to be a business owner or wanted to necessarily, you know, do what I'm doing as far as, you know, insurance. But what I do know is that what I learned from those experiences was an immense amount of respect for another person. Communication is everything, because, you know, you've got to figure out, two people are chasing down the same ball and you guys are going charging at it, you know, somebody can get hurt. So communication is really key. And ultimately leadership skills, because people that can communicate well, ultimately, you know, can be great leaders. Not saying that they always will be, but, you know, they can be. And so the skills that I've taken from that are just taking a team mindset to a lot of different things. I think that, you know, oftentimes we forget, especially in today's society, how impactful working with another human being can be, and communicating with them accordingly. So, you know, just an immense amount of gratitude for being able to play sports at a high level, because you're dealing with a number of different alpha, you know, minded individuals. There's a lot of ego involved. And, you know, at the same time, there's a lot of humility that needs to be there, and respect, in order to succeed. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So taking that, the communication, I like, you know, you use the alpha mentality, you know, which is, you know, going to, you know, make you more of a direct communicator. It's going to make you maybe a little bit more action oriented, you know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, you know, your journey. So you were volleyball in high school. Did you play in college as well?
Played a little bit, junior college, not too much. You know, I decided, hey, I'm going to move out and, you know, tackle life on my own at, you know, 18 years old, like fresh out of high school. Woo, you learn a lot. But I was also, you know, learning how to be an adult, you know what I mean? So in volleyball doesn't have a very high, you know, professional, you know, organization or anything like that. Now they're starting to come out with, you know, the AVL, things like that, but not nothing like when I was, kind of coming up. It was either go overseas, maybe you'll go, get a full ride, play your junior, senior year, but professionally, after that, it's kind of like coaching. So I realized that, and I was like, okay, well, I could continue to play this thing, keep jumping up in the air and potentially getting hurt and all that, or, figure out my place in the world. And, I decided to try to figure out my place in the world, and the world decided to show me my place as well. And that was a good journey.
So let's talk about that. Yeah, man, let's talk about that journey. So, you're coming out of high school, you're like, hey, all right, volleyball, cool. That's that. Take me all the way up until you found, or right before you found, insurance as a career path.
Wow. Man, that's crazy. So was in San Diego, moved out of LA, tried to do it on my own, was working at Starbucks, dated a girl, moved in with her. Her father was great. That was not smart because I didn't have a place to live. me and that girl broke up, and then I was living in my car. And that was a very interesting experience because I had a 100-pound dog that I was living with in my car. It was like a 1987 Acura Legend coupe. Hey, that was a nice car though, by the way.
Right.
I kept it clean. I kept it clean.
That's the 2-door. I used to like
that's a 2-door. But yeah, it was kind of couch surfing. From there, had odd jobs. Thought I was going to go to the military. That wasn't going to work out. And so I found myself moving in with a stranger who I'd met at parties in San Diego. We're definitely not compatible as far as we should not have been living together. And that ended up not living together. But he actually helped me get a job. And that job ended up leading to a series, of people that ended up changing my life. At first I met someone that I don't even mind mentioning his name. His name is Jason Girdner. He owns Tacobi, which is an immense marketing platform for the car industry. And back then he was this amazing sales guy. I mean, we were selling leads to car dealerships over the phone. So I'd cold call car dealerships all day. And I'd be selling them these, we call them trigger leads basically. And that's a whole nother story to go down. You just know they're good leads. But we were doing it over the phone. And this guy, not directly, because he was starting another business called Social Ups at that time. But he was the best on the phone. And so he didn't know how closely I actually listened to him because he kind of was quiet on the phone. But his approach, his technique, his skill kind of got me to get my first big sale, which is like a $20,000 check, faxed to me. Never met the guy, from a dealership in Texas. So then I said, okay, this sales thing is pretty cool. From there, ended up, meeting some people who got me into for-profit education back then when it was a big, hoopla, and Ashford University was where I was working in San Diego. And that was a very interesting experience, and I actually enjoyed that experience for a very long time.
Before you keep going, I'm just going to bring it back a little bit because you said got you to fax, and a lot of people don't even know what a fax is now. But no, go ahead, go look that one up. Go Google fax if you ever heard of it. All right, here we go.
Yeah, they had to fax it to corporate. I had to wait for them to call me down. Like, okay, we got the fax. We're good to go. But yeah, so then I got into for-profit education, and I did that for about 5 years. And right about when I was getting burned out from that, the manager that I had, another amazing individual, Sarah Peterson. I know that she wouldn't mind me mentioning her. She's an angel, light to the world. Absolutely amazing, beautiful spirit. She got me to go to a leadership university, and that was right when I had just moved out, was living with my fiance, who's now my wife, who's been my best friend for 15, 16 years. And we're sitting there and I just been laid off. I'm like, man, what do I do? You know, I'm trying to start my life and I just got laid off. What do I do? So Sarah, you know, basically helps me fundraise and do all this stuff to get to a leadership university called Choice Center. And Choice Center University is a leadership university designed on emotional intelligence. And that was a single point that changed my life entirely, because it got me to understand that emotions and my control of my emotions are the things that are holding me back from great success or great failure. And, you know, everything starts and stops with me that happens in my life, right? Like I'm responsible for it all. Control the things that I can control. You know, don't worry about the things that I can't. But being able to actually control the emotion that's involved with that, and being able to understand where certain things are rooted from my past. Why do I have anger towards this that sets me off, and then I go dark and, you know, blah, 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 whatever. There's certain stories for everybody, right? So that was a profound moment in my life. Through that university, I ended up meeting some amazing people who introduced me to the insurance industry. And from there, that's when I found PMA, because they were, you know, direct links to PMA state managers and VPs at PMA. From there, that was story. I mean, I joined that organization, and, you know, my first 6 months, I should say my first 6 weeks in insurance were not good. I was terrible. I thought that I was going to be Mr. Suave, Mr. Cool, smooth guy. I used to sell over the phone, and, you know, you know, hey, I could do this. I was doing it over the phone. I could do it face to face. And that didn't work. So first 6 weeks, you know, it was bad. And my wife ended up being like, hey, you know, you're good at sales, but like, maybe this isn't for you. And so ended up getting grounded, you know, really following in process, and stop relying so much on quote unquote, you know, good looks and charm, and really diving in, you know, becoming a student of the game, really understanding what I was providing to people, really getting entrenched in where I can position different products and how I can help different people in different situations from that positioning, right? It's all about bettering ourselves at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So figured that out. Then, you know, started to take off my first full year in the insurance business. I won, you know, for that organization, District Manager of the Year. I was the only $1 million district for that organization, which was really special because I started the year with nobody and I ended with 9 people, half of which made it to, you know, the year-end celebration. And it was really a big battle towards the end of the year with my counterpart, who was in the same territory, same organization as myself, and we're battling out for District Manager of the Year.
They were like 1 and 2, I think, that year, right?
Yeah, we were 1 and 2. I was 1.1, and she was just under, just over, I think 900. So, but yeah, that was a huge battle, but you know, it taught me a lot. It brought back that spirit I had, reminding me of, you know, those volleyball days when I was going for gold. But more importantly, I learned the impact that I had on other people. I got to give a speech. I, you know, grew a team. I wasn't a great leader at that time, I don't believe. But I had passion, a lot of passion, and I didn't have a lot of tact, but I had a lot of passion. And I think that the passion and the energy and the passion is what got me through, right? But that led to a series of promotions from DM to regional manager in Northern California, to then the first state manager for that organization of Northern California. You know, COVID definitely put a pause in that trajectory, but I think that there was some gold nuggets along the way, and everything happens for a reason. So, you know, I think the future is bright. I'm definitely happy with the insurance industry. I think that the thing that I didn't mention along this road is that, you know, my first 6 months in the insurance industry, I made about $52,000. And that was at a, you know, 33% compensation. My first full year in the business, I made about $125,000, and that was at a 40% compensation. The next year I made about $186,000, and that was about 45% comp. And the year after that, I made about 286,000 in gross sales, gross commission. And that was at about a 55% commission. And along that way, as the income kept going up, I realized that, wow, the insurance industry is really it's a kind of a gift that keeps giving, because of that residual income. And so really, really happy that I started when I did. I wish I had started 10 years earlier. But yeah, that's that journey. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely, man. Yeah.
No, just amazing, man. And you continue to grow too. I'm glad that you mentioned, some of the earning opportunity. I've had guests on, and we've talked about, how lucrative it can be, but for you to give some specifics, I think that just kind of gives an idea. And for those that are listening, I also want to make it known that Eric rose to the top of this organization in a place where you don't see many. And I can say this because I'm Black too. You don't see many Black people, rising to that level. It was the state manager level is in that particular organization is a part of the executive level sales team, regional and above. They're executive level leaders within this organization. So you're talking really some of the most powerful people inside of this organization in the country, and there's only a handful. And I always thought it was interesting because you were a state manager on the West, I was a state manager on the East. I was like, oh, so they have I'm saying it, they got a Black state manager on the West and a Black state manager on the East. got one for each side. We fill the quota.
Yeah, right.
But on the serious note, I know coming into this business where once again you don't see a lot of faces that look like ours. How was that? I mean, was that something that resonated with you? Let's say when you were in that first year, stepping into the district manager of the year, and you're up there, and you know what it's like to be one of 400, and
mm-hmm.
Or two of 400, and eventually it's more. But how was that for you? And did that mean anything, from that standpoint?
Yeah, so I definitely was not unaware of everything. It was different, when you're the only Black guy in the room. And look, I was used to it from the high school I went to. I think our population in high school was 85% Asian, 10% Caucasian, and 5% other. So go figure, I was in the other. And so it wasn't something that I was completely not used to, but it was definitely something that I wanted to change. And I knew that, look, man, I was happy at 33% commission when I first started. I wouldn't be happy with that now, but I was happy then because I didn't know it existed. And I didn't know what this was. I didn't know how that you could make money, like print it like that. But now I want everybody in my culture to know, because it's so much better than what I think people really think that it is.
Yeah.
We're not digging ditches. I'm not, constructing a house. I'm not risking my life on a telephone pole. I'm not, getting scoliosis in my back from driving all day. I'm not operating a train. I'm truly just helping people get coverage for themselves and honestly buy something that they were going to buy regardless. They just happen to be buying it from me.
That's right.
And if I could do a really good job, then I get referrals, and, you get all the other intrinsic value things that are there. But, I think that, when I first got started and I saw that there was next to zero Black people in the industry, and that's in in general. Now that I'm, seeing it across the board on a broader scale, not just in one organization or
Correct.
two. I'm in a massive nationwide organization. That it's that way the whole time, and my biggest, I guess, happy moment, honestly, was when I saw you creating this page. And you've got a couple other people out there now that are really starting to advocate for insurance for our community. But look, our community, we buy insurance, right? The Black community buys insurance like crazy. We just don't buy it from each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a stipulation in it, or I'm sorry, a situation. Sorry, wrong S word. A situation that we've got to change. Because we've got to learn to start supporting each other. Black owned businesses, big thing. But start your Black owned insurance business. People don't truly know what's out there in this industry. It doesn't have to be this hard grind where you talk to your friends and your family about insurance, and that's how you build your business. That's long gone, so far removed. You can start your business today. You can start your business tomorrow. All it takes is a license. All it takes is a test, and you can get started. And the beautiful thing is that this is recession proof. When I was deciding about insurance and really trying to see, okay, well, where did I want to take my family? I was in between being a personal trainer and following my athletic route, kind of really building a platform and doing all that stuff in my young 20s, or jumping into insurance, or mid 20s. And I'm so glad that I chose insurance. I truly am. Not saying that, look, my physical health definitely is important, but so glad that I did, because it's recession proof. Oftentimes a lot of, when big things happen financially, we saw with COVID-19, gyms are shut down. What do? You cancel your gym membership. Now you got to, figure out a different way, all these other things. Sure, that's circumstantial, but how many other circumstantial events can you have in life before your business goes under? Whereas in the insurance industry, there was record sales in life insurance, record sales in annuity performance, record sales in all different kinds of areas. Because no matter what, when times are bad, the last thing people are thinking of is what happens to, let me get rid of my life insurance, or let me get rid of this really important insurance that if I were to get sick or if I were to die, then, my family is left high and dry. It's really not the model, right? Typically when we're going through some things, we're going through some things in a big time way. And we're not really like, oh man, I think getting rid of my life insurance is a good idea. When times are catastrophic, unless things are very, very, very bad, that's when you're thinking, okay, I probably have to ditch my life insurance at this point, but or I might have to ditch this type of insurance at this point. But on average, more people are increasing their policies. More people
this is what you need
adding.
when things are bad. When you think, right, when things are bad, you're like, hey, okay, this is now it's on my mind. I hope I don't have to use this, or could use it. I mean, once again, I think we already mentioned that, anything can happen, at any time, and the last year has proven that to us. The world can stop, at an instance, and anybody's world can stop, at an instance, regardless of age, race, creed, color, whatever. Man, not to cut you off, but I 100% agree with the sentiment.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man. There's a big need for insurance agents now more than ever before. And, I'm lucky to know enough about the industry, to be able to place people in different positions. There's been some quotes I've run from a life insurance perspective where, I'm illustrating where, someone in their 30s is able to pay for their life insurance, have a death benefit now, in about 10 years, have enough money to pay for college for his daughter, take out, up to $30,000 a year for the
Yeah.
next 8 years for daughter and son.
Mhm.
Now that's out of their life, out of his life insurance policy. That's not affecting anything that he has already going on with his current bills. He's already placed it in, all those different things. Now, at the end of kids' college, he's still paying for life insurance. That benefit rebuilds. He's got $1 million by the time he's in his 60s. And that's all inside of life insurance where, it's tax-free, no probate, and there's a benefit no matter what, whether he's alive or dead. I did another one where, individuals said, hey, all this COVID stuff's going on, but, one of my family members died of cancer. I said, hey, at the end of the day, I know that that's concerning for you. He's like, yeah, well, it's, number someone's, I think it was like number 10 or 11 person in a family that had been diagnosed with cancer. And so we were able to provide a wonderful lump sum coverage of it's $100,000 policy. And so if God forbid this individual gets diagnosed, there's $100,000 there benefit for them to be able to pay for those deductibles, co-payments, mortgage payment, lifestyle, income, whatever it is. New doctor in Mexico, new doctor in Nevada, what integrative health, whatever it may be. But that money is there. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions as far as how insurance works. There's a fear around it, right? I really encourage people to reach out. I know that Rod will probably have some of my links in here, but reach out to me, reach out to Rod. There are so many things that you can prevent with insurance in your life, and also things that you can provide, right? The 2 P's, prevent and provide, right? And those are 2 things that you can do with life insurance, with different types of insurance protection that are out there. I highly encourage you, if you're wondering, how am I going to be able to protect my life and make sure that my kid goes to school and make sure that I've got some money for retirement? I can do that in one life insurance policy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I'll add a third P. You said prevent, provide, plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You prevent, provide, and you're planning. You're establishing something for the future. It's that generational wealth building, that you mentioned. And when we talk about insurance, that's something that we hadn't initially brought, but you brought it into the conversation. And I think that's so powerful to hear, that it's not just about having that coverage as a death benefit. It's about being able to leverage that coverage so that you can have a benefit and understand that, hey, I can utilize this for something that I'm planning in the future and not have to, compromise or make adjustments to my normal life. And that's also still going to grow. And by the time I'm still utilizing that in my planning process all the way up until retirement age, because it's going to come, none of us is going to be young forever,
Right. Right.
So we got to make sure that, we're looking to the future for those things. And I appreciate you for bringing that up as well. And
no worries.
Earlier, I talked about even with, and it's important, like we talk about our community, and that's a conversation that we can always have. And earlier I said, hey, you on the West, me on the East, quota fill, but shit, we had to put in that work. You still have to have the talent and the ability.
Oh yeah.
Because it's,
yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that life insurance enrollment I did in San Francisco? That was, I don't know if it's still to date, but it was one of the largest life insurance enrollments for that organization that had a deadline.
Yeah.
We did $750,000 in production in a matter of 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's on 2 ends, right? I always have a belief and an ideology that, your life, whatever you do in your life, has to serve 2 purposes. It has to be good for somebody else, and it has to be good for you. Yeah. And insurance is kind of a perfect marriage of those things, because hey, it's good for someone else because a lot of protection was provided. Families are going to be able to, prevent financial catastrophe because they plan properly. And then on the flip side, one of the things that, will hook you into this business is the fact that not only are you doing something good, but it is incredibly lucrative as well. You talked about the income continuing to increase. A lot of that is with those renewals that we see as well, and those continue to add up year after year. So that's why I say it's the most underrated business opportunity in the country, maybe even in the world,
Oh yeah.
because I had no idea until I was in my 30s,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
same thing with you, right?
Yeah. I was late 20s,
Late 20s.
yeah. I
And I'm
wish
like,
I'd
well,
known early 20s. I hired somebody, he'll be 21 in a month.
hmm,
And he's very, very talented. Very, very, very talented. And I keep looking at this guy, and I mean, I look at him like a little brother now. And I'm like, man, you know how lucky you are. You got 10 years on me.
yeah,
And he's walking into some of the big deals that I'm landing with, different things that I'm doing in the work site.
yes,
Been with me as I, been doing branching out and doing all different kinds of things as an independent contractor and really maximizing my insurance license in the industry. And he's watching that whole thing along the way. And I'm just sitting here sometimes and I look and I'm like, man, you're about to be 21 years old. You can't even drink. And he goes the other day, he's like, man, I want to get myself an early birthday present. And I go, what are you gonna get? He pulls up to my house in a used but really nice Mustang GT 500, some crazy vroom, vroom. And I'm like, man, just be careful. He's like, oh, you see, it's wrapped and it's got a sound system in it. And I'm like, no, I heard you. I
yeah,
heard you coming up the road.
the road, right?
But what would I have done at that age? I would have probably done the same thing or something worse with the money. But the point is that he had the freedom to be able to do it, and he wasn't sweating it. I said, how much did you pay for that car? He's like, yeah, about 9-10 grand. And I'm like, well, that's not bad. He's like, well, I was thinking about getting the one for 15, but I think I made the smarter decision. And I'm like, I'm like, dude, you're like 21. Like, to be able to have that kind of decision-making power, and he's a young Black man. That's what we need in our community. That more of that. And I encourage that. And obviously I don't encourage stupidity. He earned it. But at the end of the day, it felt so good to be able to see that, because I watched him when he was, washing dogs or I knew him when he was washing dogs and taking care of dogs, dog sitting and stuff. And not to say that that's not a great profession. I love my dog walker. But at the end of the day, this kid's got some serious talent, and he put the pedal to the metal, and I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
And he's going to impact multiple people in our culture as well, just from his success. And so I think that in life, oftentimes we're always looking for like a one-sided win, right? Like, how do I win? How do I? And insurance is the only industry where looking out for yourself is actually looking out for others.
Absolutely.
And there's other industries out there like that, right? Like, I don't know, but you're not able to make, I don't know any ones that are as lucrative as what the insurance industry is, when you truly, find benefit and value for the other person sitting across the table, your neighbor, the lead, whatever it may be, the on the worksite employee, however you're operating it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I think I have a sense of it, but I want to ask, at this point, I mean, you've been successful. You've had the awards, the accomplishments, you've expanded your business, continued to grow it, not just in California, but across the country as well. How do you stay motivated at this point?
Well, I mean, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Nowhere near it. I have two daughters. I mean, one's in private school and the other one's not old enough for school. So it's really, it's funny you say that. I was thinking about that the other day because I was having a moment of lull.
As we can have, look, peaks and valleys and
peaks and valleys. But it's really watching other people succeed. Watching other people, there's some people in my organization now that, the opportunity that I was able to provide them is double, triple what they've made in the past. And, to see them rejoice in happiness that they can make as much money as what they used to make in an entire week in a day, and have time to see their families. Same kid that I was just telling you about, he's like, man, Eric, I can't tell you how happy I am that I don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. to drive to the work site to, do, the same things that they used to do. And I said, hey, at the end of the day, You know, whatever makes you happy makes you happy. Whatever makes you feel alive, feel alive. But to be able to watch other people grow in the best facet that they want to. Like I have some people that love going to the work site. They love it. They love it to death. They love working with employees. They love it. They wouldn't change it. And I encourage that. I've got some people that like going into the home. I encourage that. What keeps me going is being able to be there for them and impact them. Um, you know, watching people make more money than they've really known that they could, watching people grow teams, and lead when they never thought that they could.
Yeah.
Um, that's what really makes me go now, man. And don't get me wrong, I love landing huge deals. There's nothing better. You're aware of one of the deals I'm working on now, or that I just landed, and that's a game changer. You know, that's, you know, potential multi-million-dollar deal. Okay, I still know that that's just one opportunity. That's just one leg of the stool. You know, there's got to be others. The the show's got to keep going, you know, like the show's got to go on.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's that competition too. Like I know someone else wants what I have, and I know that, I mean, there could be people in my own organization that want what I have. And I think that grind of just knowing like, hey, like I'm working today. I don't want to work. I don't want to do the things I'm doing, maybe because that's just human nature. Maybe I've been in a grind, a funk, whatever it is, but I'm going to go through the motion. I'm going to go through the consistency. I'm going to give it my all, because I know that if I don't, that there's somebody back there that I don't even know about that's trying to hunt me down and hawk me down and take what I have. And I don't think that there's someone with literally, you know, Eric J. Robinson written on a target and shooting darts in my face and stuff. I don't, you know, I hope to goodness that there's nobody out there. I don't think I've done anybody that wrong. But I do believe that people are trying to chase something, right? They want something that I have. I mean, if there's only 15 Lamborghinis and I want one of them, well, there's a lot of people in the world and there's somebody else that probably wants that Lamborghini, right? So there's something out there that I know that somebody else is trying to take. The smallest one, there was a business name change that I wanted, that I was thinking about doing. And the business name that I wanted, somebody else had it and they're not even using it. But it's like, man, if I had just bought the name when I wanted to buy the name, I could have had the name. Man. You know, it's little things like that that just kind of, they make me grind a little bit harder, you know?
Hey, look, man, look, I had a domain that I had this domain I had it since 1998 all the way up until 2018. That's 20 years, right? 20 years. I slipped for one moment on the renewal and somebody renewed my domain.
Oh, no.
And got, like, I can't get into the emails that I had from that. I'm serious. I had like a lot of stuff, man. I mean, you know, so I get it. You're right. You never know. You always have to be paying attention. So look, you know, as we could get ready to transition, man, look, I appreciate you sharing too. I want you to answer a question for me. Life since you've had your insurance license versus life before you had your insurance license, what's the difference?
Oh, man. That's a really good question. So before my insurance license, I couldn't guarantee many things. And that's just my own personal thing, you know, especially in California. You know, I could guarantee that I was going to get a certain amount of money every other week. That was one of my guarantees. I could guarantee you that I knew exactly how much money that I could spend or could not spend outside of my bills, because I wasn't really hustling, you know what I mean? In that sense, I was working my 9 to 5. I was, you know, just kind of conforming. It's typical, right? I knew a lot of lack, you know, oh, I can't get this now. I've got a budget for that. I can't do this now. I've got a budget for that. Yeah, man. Before insurance license, It's a little bit more reckless. Didn't respect money as much. I wanted a lot of it, but didn't really respect it. Didn't really treat it the way it should be treated. It's energy. People don't realize that money is energy. What you do with it, positive input, positive output. That's a whole nother podcast, right?
Oh yeah, exactly right.
But after insurance license, it didn't start this way, but it is this way now. I don't worry about much. I don't worry if I'm going to be able to pay a bill. I haven't. I just don't. It's not even a thought crossing my mind. I'm not worried about many things financially. Now, growing, I am like, I want to grow faster. I want to have more, right? Like, I'm definitely not satisfied.
Right.
But, I'm also not curious or bound to curious if, oh man, am I going to be able to do this? Bound to, oh man, I can't do this because then I can't say that there's a lack conversation. There is no lack conversation. There's just a lot of abundance because I know that every single day there's an opportunity. There's some days where I don't make money, but on average, I get a deposit every single day of money, of energy, because of the energy that I'm putting out there, whether it's helping someone else make a sale, whether it's helping a client, whether it's filing a claim, whatever it is, that energy, that effort, right, is going around, it's getting put in. And so, there's no boredom. I had a lot of bored moments before my insurance license where I was like, man, what am I going to do? What am I going to figure out? Like a lot of conversation about not much, and that was just me. That was my life. I was mid-20s when I found insurance. So, I think that's common for, someone in their mid-20s, especially nowadays. But after insurance license, man, travel, a lot more respect for myself, a career that I know no one can take anything from, as long as I, of course, do the right things and, follow the law, of course. This career is not going to go anywhere. I'll be able to sell insurance until I'm in my 90s. There's never going to be a time when I can't, show up to someone's house or sit at the table and be able to walk them through an insurance policy. That's something this is just a skill that, will be valuable for the rest of my life. Right. So I think there's a calming that comes along with that as well. Right? Not frantic. Like, what if this business goes under? Okay, well, insurance companies, they do go under, a lot rarer nowadays, but there's also ones that, have been around for 155 years and aren't going anywhere, hundreds of years and aren't going anywhere. And they're all backed by each other anyway. So none of them are really going anywhere. But it's an industry that few people can truly say that they won't be able to be eradicated from. Insurance industry will always need the sale of insurance, and it's one of the most powerful industries in the country. It really does make
absolutely
things go around.
If not maybe right next to government.
Yeah. Right. It's up there.
It's a part of the banking industry. So
right. Like it's up there. I mean, even banking industry has to be insured. So
absolutely. That's right.
Yeah.
So at this point in your life, what's the goal now? What is the dream now?
Yeah, the dream now is land.
In California, because it's expensive out there, man.
I mean, the dream now is land. Northern California is not too expensive. It's on fire right now, unfortunately, but
oh wow.
They're dealing with fires all over the place in Northern California. But I believe that there's opportunity that will come around from that. Even though there's strategy right now, there's a lot of opportunity. And so I'm always just kind of looking, waiting, saving, investing, looking for that opportunity. Land is the next one. I think it's always smart for people to have especially if you're in the insurance industry, a SEP IRA. SEP IRA. It's a type of IRA for independent contractors,
Self-employed individuals. Yep.
Self-employed individuals. Yeah, look into it. I'm not a sales professional or tax professional, so look into it. But I think a healthy contribution to the SEP IRA, healthy contribution to my Roth, and a little bit of crypto and real estate is really what I'm looking for next. So that's my next big venture that I'd like to take. But for now, it's insurance and insurance avenues. We have opportunities specifically in California in the work site, and across the country as well. I have satellite partners that if you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast and you're interested in working with people in the work site, please, feel free to reach out. If you want to work, directly with individuals with leads, we've got that division as well, where it's more of a consumer type of division where we're going and dealing with individuals who are requesting information via mail or online internet, whatever it may be. The Zoom, telesales, that's a whole new market where we're venturing into, possibly creating a call center and giving some opportunity to people who are a little bit, still, health prone to things that are out there that want to stay a little bit more safeguarded. And, there's some people that are just really good at sales over the phone and on the internet, and that's good. And so we've got a few different legs to the table right now going just in insurance, between, voluntary benefits in the work site, meeting people in the home, to be able to work on their estate planning or their final expense planning, or even, on Zoom, doing telesales, helping people from that market. There's a lot of different avenues just in the insurance industry that we're focused in on and growing. But yeah, man, the next one once this thing's rolling, will be real estate.
Yeah, man. Nice. So, and the beauty in that statement is, you said how life before versus life after. It sounds like, the freedom, right? It's like the freedom that being in this business has allowed you to have, has allowed you to start to conceptualize, plan, create ideas, and move on those bigger projects and on those bigger things, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Versus from a time standpoint and a resource standpoint.
Resources. Definitely need the resources.
Right. So, put you in you're in a different level when you can not just talk about some things, but also have resources to make these things happen. And that's what has been able to create for you, sounds like as well. So for someone who's listening to this, and maybe they're on the fence, they're in the middle of a career right now, maybe they hate their gig, or maybe they don't have a gig, maybe they're just coming out of college, or maybe they're coming out of high school trying to figure out, or maybe they've been in the job for 20 years and they want to get away, or they just retired, whatever, but they're like, I've been hearing about this insurance thing and I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence. Is it for me? What kind of advice would you have for somebody who's thinking about getting into this business?
Oh man. Well, it's definitely not a hard industry. You just got to be committed. It's simple, but not easy. But what I would say is just look at yourself and say, are you self-motivated? Do you have a good work ethic? Are you a good person? And I think those are some of the key ones, right? Are you, teachable? Do you have a willingness to learn, or if you will? But I always say it's a strong willingness to learn, a strong work ethic, and coachability. Willingness to learn, coachability, kind of hand in hand. But those two things, you can be successful here.
Right. Great attitude.
Great attitude. Yeah. If you have a great attitude, you can't have a bad attitude, because you'll have plenty. I think there's an even amount of good and bad days, but the bad days can be real bad. They can be real frustrating. But yeah, willingness to learn, strong work ethic, positive mental attitude, those three things, you can't go wrong. If you have those three things, you'll be very successful. Perseverance, consistency, discipline.
Yeah. Because it really doesn't matter the background per se. It just, hey, do you have those qualities? And if you have those qualities, then you can win. Or how can folks get in contact with you? You know, after this conversation, they listen to it and you resonated with them. How can they reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, man. Yeah, social media, great. You know, my social media is Grizzy Robinson, GrizzeeRobinson. But you can always reach me on the cell phone, 626-703-9734. No, I'm putting it out there. I am married.
Putting it on the bottom right.
But you know, I believe that when people have questions, you know, they can get answers. You can call me no matter where you're at in the country. I've either got a satellite partner right next to you, or I can, you know, get you plugged into an office that's real close to you in a heartbeat. So feel free to call my cell phone, area code 626-703-9734.
All right. Hey, look, and I know this guy personally, and what he says he means. If you call him, you are going to be able to reach him, speak with him, and learn more about, you know, everything that he's doing, and certainly a giving individual as well. Like, he's going to help you be successful in this business if that's what you want to do. He's going to help you get, you know, to where you want to be and accomplish those objectives. Hey, look, Eric, I just want to tell you, man, that look, you're a grown man, but I'm so proud of you. You know, just what you've accomplished, what you're doing, what you're building, what you represent, what you stand for, the type of individual that you are. And one thing that's always impressed me about you, and even more so after this conversation, is, you know, your dedication and commitment to both personal and professional growth. You know, you mentioned the choice center very early in the conversation, and being willing to go through that program, even as a young person, being mature and saying, yes, I want to keep growing myself. I know that there's another instance and workshop that you've been through, and you know, I won't name it, you know, right now, but to continue to elevate and take yourself to higher and higher and higher levels, man. And I just appreciate, you know, that about you and your spirit, man. And you know, I love you, brother. I love your family, even though we aren't able to get together like that. But I'm coming out there to the Bay, man. I'm gonna come out and visit you. And thank you for guesting tonight. Appreciate you so much. And thank you guys for listening. You know, maybe, you know, Eric said something to you that made you think maybe you should get a license. Until the next time, take care.
Thanks, brother.